I apologize for that. My microphone wasn't plugged in for some reason. I mean, I know why the reason was. I didn't plug it in, of course. But now we are good money. Y'all know how I like to start off the show. If you're watching on YouTube, share out the video. If you're watching on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Facebook, share it to your personal page. Share it to whatever group you in. Start a watch party. The more people that see us, the better. The more people who receive the information, the better. We must start doing this. Now, you guys know how I like to start off the show. If you want to donate to the platform, the Cash App is Progressive Action 100. The PayPal is Progressive Action. Now, we also have something called Patreon. Patreon is a monthly subscription of only $25 a month. If you want to do the Patreon way of giving back to the platform, that is in the description of the video. So let me share out the video. Take a minute. No rush tonight. No curfews tonight. No nothing. Take a minute and share out the video. I'm going to do the same thing. Let me retweet it. Let me share it out. Let me see. Yeah, let me retweet this. Let me share it out. Let's see. If you guys do this, I won't have to do it. That's the key. If you guys do it, I don't have to do it. But look, let's go. So let me move over a little bit. July 15th, we are having the Jericho March. Progressive Action is a part of this march. We are joining the United Clergy Coalition. We will be marching from Cadman Plaza across the Brooklyn Bridge to City Hall. If you're a part of a church, bring your church. If you're a part of the community, bring the community. You have kids. We want the youth to be there. This is very important that we get the youth to this engagement, this march. And it's July 15th. That's on a Wednesday. Once again, we meet at 9 a.m. at Cadman Plaza. Now, last week, I did the graduates last. This week, I want to do the graduates first. So, the first graduate we're going to acknowledge is Tamia Miller. She's headed to BMCC. This is so important to me because, like I said the last show, we celebrate, well, not me, but when our friends come home from jail, it's a big party, big celebration. But when we have people who graduate from school, come back from college with a degree, we don't pay them, we don't congratulate them and pay them no mind. But it's so funny that when the things that we support, right? So you'll have the friend that's in jail, right? They was doing whatever, they went to jail, and it was their fault. We're not talking about the people who's locked up innocently. Talking about the people who went to jail and it's their fault. Who do they call when they need commissary money? They normally call a person with the 9 to 5, the person with the job, the person who probably went to college and made something of themselves. So it's very important that we celebrate the people who are graduating school and going to college, getting degrees and furthering their educations. So that's why I'm deciding to do that now. So this is Tamia Miller. Once again, she's headed to BMCC. We have Jakai Bailey. He's 5 years old and he's going to kindergarten. It's very, very important. Let's celebrate them while they're young. He's going to kindergarten. Shout out to Jakai. We have Keith Grant. He will be attending RIT. Shout out to Keith Grant. And we have my favorite of them all. My favorite of them all. We have Brooke. This is him in Facebook. And Brooke is a superstar in the making for sure. And she's going to the first grade. This is our graduates for today, and let's give them a round of applause. Let's give the graduates a round of applause. Let me see what's going on over here. Let me see if I can share it out. Yeah, so that's what it is right there. So another march. We got a Let Freedom Ring march. It's a youth march organized by the Freedom Church, and it's going down July 12th, 2020 at 1 p.m. It's starting at St. Mark Holy Church at 1980 Fulton Street, and it's going to end at Restoration Plaza where they have the Black Lives Matter mural on the street. This is for the youth. They said that the youth, at the end of the march, they will be reading poems. We will be hearing speeches from the youth. And this is an excellent way to get the youth involved in their communities and us as adults hearing what's on their mind and understanding what they're going through as children. I think that this is a very important event. And the next show we have next week, we're going to have the organizer of the event call in, and we're going to talk about it. So you could bring your kids to the event. Why not? It's something positive. It's something positive. Now, we got to get into this MTA news real quick, and the news that's happening in our city and things of that nature. Let me see something real quick. No, I don't want to do that. Let me see something real quick. Oh yeah, so in the future, if you guys know someone, a child, a family member that you want to give a shout out on the show for doing good and graduating in school, send me their picture, send me their name, send me what school they're going to, what college, what grade, whatever, and we will put them on the show. We'll probably do this for a couple of more weeks. So MTA news. The MTA said they are about to start collecting fares again. Now, they said they will be starting the fare thing back in August. And the reason that this is of importance to me is because they wasn't collecting fares for a while and on buses. And there's no real protection on buses for bus operators. The partitions, they never did any kind of job since they've been installed. Bus operators were still getting assaulted, spit on, slapped, all types of stuff, right? So now we have the coronavirus, right? So with this whole coronavirus thing, the MTA has decided to step up their game and put more partitions more, when I say more partitions or more of a full partition. It's not a full partition, it's a partition still. And if you look clearly, you'll see Vice President of Map Store, Richie Davis, sitting in the seat. I know some of you guys really want to put Davis back in that seat to drive for good, but I don't know if that would happen. But Richie Davis is in the driver's seat there. I don't know who the other guy is, but if you look, the partition is still not a full partition. It's still a partition. And one thing I would like to make clear is that before the MTA think about going back to the fares on buses, that every bus is equipped with this partition. This partition is really a false sense of security because, like the scientists have been saying, this coronavirus is airborne. No partition could stop anything that's airborne. And it's not like the air isn't circulating on a bus. The air circulating on a bus. The partition does not stop the coronavirus. So it's only a false sense of security to make drivers feel comfortable, like they're being protected, so they could drive safe and make money for the city. And that's the truth. But if they are going to put these partitions in, these partitions should be in every bus before these full fares start happening. So we looking at this being on every bus before before August. And to the bus operators out there, if you happen to get a bus without this new partition, it is unsafe. It is totally unsafe. You should not be in direct contact with the public during this whole coronavirus thing. And I would advise you to fill out a safety rule dispute resolution form if you happen to get a bus without this this new extended partition. It's not a full partition. It's an extended partition. Also in the news, we have the MTA now allowing vendors to sell masks in a subway. Now, whenever there's a pandemic or there's some type of tragedy, there is going to be people who's going to make money during this tragedy. And now the MTA is allowing vendors to sell masks and hand sanitizer to the public. Now, I have a problem with this. For one, why would the MTA allow someone to make money during this pandemic on their property when the MTA is already giving out gel made hand sanitizer, and free mask? Who family member was allowed the contract for this? This is somebody, friend or family, that's allowed to put these items in the subway. But look, whenever there's some type of crisis, somebody is making money, and that's just how it works. Do I agree with this? No, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with this. Today, guys, I got notes. Today. Not using my iPad today. I got notes today. So, as you know, the coronavirus has dwindled in the tri-state area, and it has picked up in other states that was laughing at us. Remember those other states that was saying, if you're from New York, you got to quarantine for 14 days. Well, those tables have turned, right? Those tables have turned. So now, Governor Cuomo, he put in an executive order, and it says that if you travel to any one of the high-risk states, I don't know what states they are, but after June 25th, you would not be eligible for COVID-19 paid sick leave. Before that date, if you went to, let's say, Florida, and you came back, you was told to quarantine for 2 weeks, you would get paid. Now, if you do that, you are on your own. You would not be getting paid if you go to a state where you don't belong, where the virus is high. So I advise you to stay out of those states, because you're going to be footing the bill for that. So tomorrow we have an event. Tomorrow. Progressive Action is having an event tomorrow. And the event is a candlelight vigil. And I just want to make something clear. I got to take this off the screen for a second. I got to make something clear regarding the vigil. I want to make something clear. I got to make it smaller. Give me 1 second. Let me make this thing smaller. So there's a lot of false information going out there, and people saying what the visual is about and things of that nature. The visual is clear. It says it on a flyer. It says, in remembrance of our fallen MTA brothers and sisters. There was a lot of false information saying that this visual was about the situation that happened in East New York Yard. It is not about that. Now, if you want to come there and bring a candle and pray to that and light a candle for that situation, I cannot tell you what to do. But this candlelight vigil is for the remembrance of our brothers and sisters who died because of the coronavirus, right? Now, I had got a message from basically a friend of the family that was saying that Progressive Action, we got blamed for it, of course, because we have the biggest platform. We the most noticeable in transit and things of that nature. So we got a message from the family basically saying, a friend of the family basically saying that we got accused of basically using that situation that happened in East New York Yard as a platform for whatever. Really, we spoke about it one time. Nuke did a video. I did a video talking about whatever. And then after that, we left it alone. But people kept going. People kept using this on their platforms and in their live videos. And the family blamed it on Progressive Action. The family also said that someone was out there and they took pictures of whatever happened in East New York Yard and put it on the internet. That was nobody from Progressive Action. I actually never seen the pictures. Somebody called me 2 days ago and asked me, did I see the pictures? The pictures wasn't never posted in our group. It was posted in other groups. And I honestly think it was tasteless. And Nuke actually spoke to a family member when the situation first happened. And we let them know that we was doing a vigil of our fallen coworkers. And if they wanted to come join us during that event, they are more than welcome. And they said they don't think they want to be a part of it at that time. So if you really look at our posts and stuff, we haven't really been talking about it. Everyone else has. Everyone been using their platforms to, say whatever, do whatever, and say whatever. But tomorrow is for our fallen coworkers. If you want to come down there once again, you can come and light a candle for whatever you want to light a candle for. But this right here is for our fallen co-workers during this pandemic, remembering them, making sure the MTA won't forget about them. That's why we going in front of 2 Broadway tomorrow at 12 p.m. We're going to light some candles right in front of their building and let them know that we are not forgetting and we will never forget. And as far as support with the family of our coworker that experienced that loss, we stand with them and we support them in whatever they need. And that's the best that we could do. But we are not talking about that situation no more. Me personally, I've been talking about women issues for the past 5 years in transit. This is not something new. This is what they call I'm not ambulance chasing. Right before that situation happened in the yard, that the week before that, we did a live Zoom that you guys could watch with State Senator Diane Savino about women's issues. So this is something that I'm passionate about. We are working behind the scenes with politicians and other people of influence and power to rectify what's going on in the MTA. And I would like to say this too. Progressive Action is not a moment. We are not a moment. We are a movement. We are a movement. And when we move, things move with us. So if you're available tomorrow, please come out to the Candlelight Vigil. I will have a few candles with me if you need a candle, if you can't get a candle. But if you can get a candle, please bring a candle, bring a coworker. 12 p.m. in front of MTA headquarters tomorrow. That's 2 Broadway. So as a result of, a lot of people don't really know who's the interior part of Progressive Action. We made a flyer. This flyer was supposed to have been done. I'm blaming Nuke on that. She's supposed to have been do this flyer, but she finally got the flyer done. And this is the Progressive Action leadership team. We have myself, we have Jamel, we have Jocelyn, we have Nuke, we have Ben, we have Drummond, we have Denise, we have Roberto, we have my boy Gomez, we have my boy Norris, we have Willie Colon, and we have Alexander Kemp. This list is going to grow. We are in talks with a whole bunch of people. So don't think that my department ain't on here. You don't represent my department. That's not the case. We in talk with people in almost every department. But the thing is this, we not seeking people out. We want people to want to do this. We want people to be a part of this. So if you want to be a part of this and you want to create change in your section of this job, join the strongest team in Local 100. Join Progressive Action. And another thing, we are not only a job situation. We participate in our communities also. That's very important. And everyone in this picture participates in their community, and we do it together as a team. So don't think that Progressive Action is only a job thing. If you want to participate with us to make change in the union, I'm all for that. If you want to participate in Progressive Action to create change in your community, we all for that. But this list is destined to grow. It is going to grow. I'm in talks with people from various departments, and we're going to make this thing happen. So as you guys know, there has been a lot of talk of defunding the police, and the funds from the police need to $1 billion from the police department need to go to other services in the city, and the police budgets is too high and things of that nature. I do agree that the police budgets are high. I do agree that more need to be done within our communities as far as money is concerned. When I was growing up, we used to have community centers. A lot of the community centers isn't operating now. We used to have PAL. We used to have all types of stuff, and we don't have that no more. We don't have no sports teams. It's so hard to get access to a gym in the wintertime to play basketball and things of that nature. So something is definitely up. You can't possibly increase police budgets and do nothing for the community, because we got to remember of the path that they creating for us. You ever heard of the what they call the school to prison pipeline and things of that nature? If you take away educational stuff and recreational activities for us, we're going to look into other things to get into. That's just the nature of the beast. It's the truth, right? You increase all these police budgets, take away from everything else, then what's left? Nothing but trouble. Kids go be kids. Kids go be mischievous. Kids go do things, right? They're going to get themselves in trouble, and they go straight to jail, whatever the case is. There's nothing to deter kids from getting in trouble. There's nothing of substance in the communities to get kids involved to do productive and positive things. I even think that the mayor, prior to this budget, he cut the summer youth program. So what were kids going to do this summer if the pandemic didn't hit? If this pandemic didn't hit, these kids would not have summer jobs, right? So these screenshots is from the New York Times, and I'm gonna read off what I got basically circled off. But slightly less than half of the $1 billion in cuts will come from a budgetary sleight of hand. School safety officers who are currently under the auspices of the police department will be moved to the authority of the Department of Education, according to the 3 council members familiar with the plan. So the whole thing was to cut the NYPD budget by $1 billion, and they wanted to cut $1 billion from possibly the overtime or whatever the case was. The mayor did something slick. He said, you know what? We go cut the NYPD budget. We go take the school safety officers from NYPD and put them back in the DOE. Now, the issue with this is what he's not saying is that the DOE was already underwriting the budget for the NYPD. So they took the school safety out, but the Department of Education was paying $300 million already to the NYPD for school safety to be in NYPD. So that's why they say it was a sleight of hand. And basically this screenshot says that, the people were upset because the people who was protesting, they wasn't protesting school safety officers. They was actually protesting what these police officers are doing. So actually saying you cutting the budget when you just basically shifting school safety back to the DOE, you didn't really cut their budget, because school safety really isn't the problem. It's the actual police departments and what they're doing. And like we said, not every cop is bad. Not every cop is bad, but you ever had your mother tell you one bad person to spoil it for the bunch? You ever had siblings where one sibling do something bad and they mess it up for everyone? Well, that's how it is with the police department. There's no accountability in the police department. You have police officers with that blue wall of silence. They're being quiet when their fellow comrades and co-workers are being negligent out there. So they are responsible also. So with these police officers not telling and things like that, they all need to be penalized. That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel. Now, another thing that I found important with this whole budget thing was this. And you see it on the screen right now. You read that. This is something to look out for. And for the first time in his tenure, the mayor drew down on the city's reserves, tapping $4 billion in savings to help balance the budget. Much of it from the retiree health benefits fund, a move that does not affect retiree benefits in the short term. Now, it don't affect it in the short term, but what goes down in the long term? And we got to remember, New York City transit workers, we are a part of NYC. I don't know. Well, it's a health benefit fund. I don't know. I don't think it affect pensions, but you never know. But for the people who retired from New York City and you got health benefits, what happens if this thing doesn't work out? If the city never recuperate? It looks like to me that you will end up losing your health benefits. And I would like for them to describe what is short term. Is short term 6 months? Is short term a year? Is short term 2 years? They need to clarify that. So that's something that you guys and us as a community, we need to pay attention to. We definitely need to pay attention to. So also with the mayor cut was Fair Fares. He cut $65 million from Fair Fares, and Fair Fares is a program for people who can't afford full Metro cards. They get discounted Metro cards, and he cut $65 million from that. That's not good. That's not good, because a lot of people rely on Fair Fares. So I haven't seen the entire budget, and I don't know how I would have voted, because I haven't seen it. I would want to see it for myself. But it is what it is. Hopefully they will put out the full thing soon. So let's get into some deep MTA news. Before I get into that, before I get into the real MTA news, because this is something that we must pay attention to, and let's share out the video. Let's share out the video. Let me see. Let me share out the video real quick. This thing is so weird now. Like Facebook just got real weird. Like with sharing videos and stuff. I can't even share it. It's so crazy. But I need y'all to share this video out. Let's get into this news real quick. So, MTA Senior Vice President Sally Labrera has left the building. I see a lot of people say, she's just another manager and things of that nature, Now I'm gonna say this about Miss Libera. I never had a problem with her. I communicated with her often. She definitely helped members out. She responded to whatever questions or issues I may have had. And I believe that she was one of the good ones. I have nothing bad to say about her as an individual. She was always respectful. I could say that she had an interest on making sure everyone was safe during this pandemic for the most part of things that was in her control. So her leaving is definitely a blow for us, because we don't know who's going to replace her, and I don't know whoever's going to replace her is going to be as good as her. It'd be funny, right, if she go work with Byford in London. That would be crazy. That would definitely be crazy. Let me see. Yeah, so yeah, that would definitely be crazy. So before I get into who the MTA hired for the new chief operating officer of New York City Transit, I want to remind you guys of why he's being promoted. So let's get into his videos. Let's listen to it. We go play 2 videos. And I played them on the show in the past because I heavily criticized his judgment, his lies, his deceit during this whole entire coronavirus situation. So let's get into the video real quick.
But I think ultimately, the public will not be safe unless our workers are safe, and that it is critical to work on the health and safety of our workers that are sick and have tragically died at extraordinary rates. One can't help but look at the article in the New York Times today talking about correction officers at Rikers Island, and I think, I'm not certain the Pat Warren statistics, but I believe the statistics of the transit and bus workers is perhaps 3 or more times worse than the correction officers at Rikers Island. And that, to me, is a frightening problem that we must come to grips with, and that I would hope that by the time we are ready to expand service, there are no more cases among transit workers, that we have done what it takes to create absolute safety within the system, and that will be the way that we can publicly entice people back into the mass transit system. So I really look forward to the work that WSP is doing. I look forward to the work that Dr. Rivera is doing, and I think it is critical. Without their successful work, we will never effectively move back into public transit in the way it has to be in New York City. Thank you.
Chairman, if I can speak.
Please.
Commissioner, you're absolutely correct in the fact that we want to make sure that we do everything we can for our employees. They are vital to not only us, but particularly vital to their own families, and that's just everything to us. I will say, though, that our statistics are not much worse than Rikers Island. Matter of fact, they're much better than Rikers Island, and I can go over those with you. We are at par or better than almost every industry that's in New York City, and we continue to find, because we're being innovative, and we continue to try to find remedies for using future technology.
He said we are at par or better than every industry, and he was talking about this whole pandemic. Even though we had the most deaths than any one agency in New York City. That was Pat Warren. Let's get into his second video.
Safety Officer Pat Warren for a brief update on the actions we continue to take and to $70.9 billion request. Thank you. I'm now going to turn it over to our Chief Safety Officer Pat Warren for a brief update on the actions we continue to take and to set the national example for ensuring the health and safety of our employees and customers in responding to the pandemic. Pat.
Thank you, Pat. Since day one, the health and safety of employees and customers has been our #1 priority. Last week, we announced a partnership with Northwell Health, Go Health Urgent Care Centers to ensure that symptomatic transportation workers receive priority access to COVID testing at 52 locations across our service region with no out-of-pocket cost. This expands the options available to our employees, giving them another avenue of support aside from their primary care physicians and healthcare providers. Let me highlight that testing of our employees by their private doctors also comes at no cost to them, thanks to a state directive on insurers. We have taken aggressive action to battle this virus since it arrived in New York, distributing over 3 million pairs of gloves and 1 million masks since March 1st. Further, we served as a leader in the transportation industry by providing masks to our employees well before the Centers of Disease Control eventually changed course to advise that all Americans wear masks.
This is Pat Warren lying. He said they took aggressive action with MTA workers. That's a lie. He said they distributed masks way before the CDC. That's a lie. They with this whole testing thing going on, that was a lie. He lied through his teeth. Pat Warren at the time was the chief safety officer. Basically, he's the top guy in charge of safety in the MTA, and he failed miserably. We got the most deaths than any one agency in America. We got more deaths than some countries. Our agency got more deaths than some countries. So, what did the MTA do? I mean, any other job, if you fail horribly like that, you would be without a job. But guess what the MTA did? They gave him a promotion. Transit President Sarah Feinberg confirms the MTA Chief Safety Officer Pat Warren is now Acting Chief Operating Officer of New York City Transit. Everyone know that this whole coronavirus thing, it mostly affected people of color. People of color died at higher rates than any other people in the United States and New York. So basically at this company, most of the people who passed away, people of color, is 90-something%, over 90% of the people who passed. And his reward, in my eyes, Pat Grim Reaper Warren, his reward for killing a whole bunch of people of color was a promotion. There wasn't no one else to choose from. Now, I don't know what kind of guy Pat Warren is, but I could tell you that he doesn't know his job. I could tell you that he's a liar. I could tell you that he doesn't have any integrity with me or my coworkers because we know the truth. Each one of us could listen to his videos and say that he is a liar. His actions or lack thereof killed MTA workers. And like I said, what did the MTA do? They gave him a promotion. Now, what's funny is that it's not even funny. It's pretty upsetting. This is Pat Warren's, his bio on the MTA. And I think he started in the MTA in 2018. How in 2 years do you become the chief operating officer of New York City Transit? There wasn't nobody on the inside that could have been promoted to this position. But I get it. He's a white man. He has some credentials. He killed black people. Let's call it for what it is. He killed black people. If this was when the Ku Klux Klan was at their highest, he probably would have been Grand Wizard. They basically made him Grand Wizard. And I'm not saying that he is, but how do you get a promotion when you failed so horribly? Your failure got me sick. Your failure got my lungs moderately right now. That's what the doctor said. Your decisions, your refusal to give us masks, your refusal to your stance of saying that masks were against uniform policy, where we was just worried about our safety, but you're the chief safety officer at the time. If I'm just the conductor, my coworkers are just train operators, conductors, cleaners, bus operators, and we felt it was safe to wear a mask, how come the chief safety officer didn't think that it was safe to wear a mask? Where else can you get a promotion for killing black people? Where else on earth do you get a promotion for killing black people? Pat Grim Reaper Warren? The MTA, we just had a whole conversation about race. And this thing is so crazy. This thing is so crazy because that's why it's so important that we have to start fighting now, especially in the MTA, because there are a lot of glass ceilings. Black people know for a fact. You want to know why? Because a lot of these managers call me, especially over the past month. A lot of managers call me and say, Tramel, you're right. There's a certain limit that we could get to in this company before we can't get any higher. Yeah, they put a little token black people here and there to say, hey, look, we not racist because we got that one black person over there and we got 23 other white people over there. But we're not racist because we got that one black person over there. This is what they do. This is the game they play. So I want to show you guys the qualifications for this job. This is the qualifications for Chief Operating Officer. This screenshot only shows basically the posting date and the filing date, right? Let me see something real quick because I just seen something. So look, they made Pat Warren the Chief Operating Officer. And if you look at this screenshot right here, the last date to file is July 17th, 2020. It's only July 1st. Why did they make a decision so quick? Why didn't they give other people the opportunity to apply to this position? Why did they choose Pat Warren so quick? Were they that eager to promote him because he killed a whole bunch of black people? That's something to think about. The next we go continue with the job description as far as the responsibilities is concerned. This is not really important because they play the game. The responsibilities won't be the responsibilities because his responsibilities for Chief Safety Officer was to make sure that we were safe, and he did not do that. But those are the responsibilities. The education and experience. Now, this is important. I want to read this. You need a bachelor's degree from an accredited college in transportation, business administration, public administration, finance, or a closely related field of study, and 15 years of full-time related experience, of which 10 years must have been in a managerial supervisory capacity. I agree with that. Somewhat. Because you got some people who's just talented and they could pick up stuff that would take one person 10 years and they could catch it in 2 or 3 years. But the part that I disagree with, I don't think that you should have 15 years full time anywhere. I think that it should be in New York City Transit. This is a special system. Pat Warren is not qualified to run this system. And if you look at selection method at the bottom, it says based on evaluation of education, skills, experience, and interview. The last filing date for this is July 17th. What was the rush once again? And his skills. He was skilled at making sure New York City Transit workers were ill prepared, and a whole bunch of black people died from this pandemic. I don't know his education, but it is what it is. And I want to show you guys the final page. Basically, these positions here are for family and friends who you cool with and things of that nature. And if you ask me, how many people you killed in New York City Transit because of this pandemic? I was very critical of Pat Grim Reaper Warren every board meeting because we were in it. He was lying while we were in it. When they said they was giving us masks, they wasn't giving us masks. I mean, he basically lied this whole time. And for the MTA to give him a promotion is very sickening and troubling. It is. It bothers me a lot. This bothers me a lot. And think about it like this. When you think about the bosses of the MTA, right? Could you imagine someone running a mechanic shop but don't know anything about cars? That's basically what the MTA is. They have a whole bunch of people who know the structure of corporate America, know the chain of commands, know a little bit, but don't know enough to really run this system. And that's what we got. If you put me as the manager of a mechanic shop and I don't know anything about cars, brakes or engines and things of that nature, solenoid valves and all this other stuff. If I don't know that stuff, how can I be an effective manager? That's not something that you really learn by looking. A lot of our jobs, we learn by being it, working it, hands-on. We have a lot of people who's making decisions on our job duties that never touched the train, that never touched the broom, that never touched the bus, that never installed anything into the train, never did anything here. We have those type of people here. We have people here that don't know what they are doing. Who does that? The MTA. You want to know what? Pat Warren is probably not a bad guy, but he's not knowledgeable of what goes on here. He doesn't. Pat Warren didn't even know about the pandemic plan. He should have known that being a chief safety officer at the time. But when you hire a librarian to be the manager or the boss of a mechanic shop and they don't know nothing about a car, what good is it? Because this is what happens. You have someone that don't know nothing about cars as the manager of a mechanic shop, right? So they don't know nothing about nothing. So who they rely on? They rely on the people that's under them, the mechanics, the junior mechanics, the apprentices, whoever they may have to give them information, and then they could possibly give it to the customer or whatever the case is if they have an issue, right? So if you have the mechanics up under him lying to him and saying, yeah, X, Y, and Z is going on, he don't know because he don't know no better. He got to take their word because this is not his expertise. This is not his trade. He never worked this. So you have to rely and put trust in people because you don't know for yourself. That's what goes on at New York City Transit. What goes on is that the people up under them lie to them and tell them the wrong thing. I mean, we seen Sarah Feinberg go out there and say the wrong thing, and we like, where did you get this information from? It's because she was being lied to. Pat Warren, maybe he was giving those facts because, or saying that stuff at the MTA board meeting because he had the incorrect information, because he never worked our jobs before. He don't know what to do or where to go, and these guys are lost. Don't be that boss that don't know or never worked the trades before. That's what the MTA is. That's what the MTA is. And I mean, yo, this was a major slap in our face for them to promote this guy after all the deaths in New York City Transit. This is horrible. This is insane. Like, what can I compare this to? What happened in I don't even know what to compare this to, because this is just so strange and weird. This is strange and weird. Like, what could I compare this to? Like, I don't know. Like, if you in the army and your indecisiveness kills your fellow soldiers, would you expect to get a better rank in the military after killing your soldiers? Like, who are you really working for? If you're working for the enemy, then I can understand that you getting that raise or that promotion. But if you with us, how can you? When you failed, you should be kicked off the team. That's how that should work. But like I said, you look at all these qualifications, the education, the desired skills, the time you have to spend managing and all this other stuff. There's a ceiling for black people in this company. They will hardly make that level of manager to even be considered, because there's just not a lot of them up there. And the only thing the MTA is doing right now is keeping everything white. Everything white. There's some movement going down in MOW right now with managers where the white managers are getting the promotions and the black managers is being sent all over the place and saying that they can't be promoted. Or they can't get this and they can't get that. This is going down in MOW as we speak. They know what I'm talking about. I know everything. But this is sad, man. Pat Grim Reaper Warren gets a promotion after almost 140 workers die. And out of the 140 workers, the percentage is like 95% people of color. How you get a promotion? How do you get a promotion, man? But you want to know what? Tomorrow, we're going to make our voices heard. Once again, tomorrow we will be at 2 Broadway at 12 p.m. sharp. Bring a candle. This vigil is for all our fallen co-workers. You could come and light a candle for the women's issues. You could come light a candle for whatever. But we're going to light candles in broad daylight. You know, someone asked me, Tremel, why are you having a vigil at 2 Broadway at 12 p.m.? It's daytime out. And, you know, my answer to that is this. The MTA have been doing so much dirtiness, corruptness, negligence to us in the dark. It's time to bring them to the light. That's why we having a candlelight vigil 12 p.m. In the daylight, noon, we go bring all they dirty laundry to the light. We got to drag them out of darkness and bring them to the light. If you're interested in coming, please come. It's very important. Please come to the vigil. It's very, 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 very important. It's very important. Thanks for tuning in to the Progressive Action TV show. I'll catch you guys later.